It is often said that all we have is our good name, and when an identity thief strikes, that's usually what is taken.
But what if it was your image that was stolen and police were powerless to do anything about it? Because that act is not against the law.
Only News 3's David Douglas followed the trail of this emerging problem all the way to Ohio.
Day after day,
you have to train consistently,
rep by rep.
It takes a lot of dedication.
Chad Shaw has built his body and an image.
I reached a point where I wanted to share my knowledge with other people.
The Madison weightlifter has write-ups in bodybuilding magazines and even appeared in an ad for a supplement. Yet the picture he never hoped to see was his own, being used by someone else on the internet.
These people are telling me that, hey, we're just letting you know there's some guy playing you on Facebook.
That guy is David Klotz, who you can see in this video looks nothing like Shaw. Yet on multiple websites under a whole host of names, including David Fieri, he has plenty of people fooled.
In my opinion, it's a form of identity theft. According to the law, it's not.
As he soon discovered, Klotz has far from a clean past, giving Shaw reason to worry.
Once I learned the gravity of the situation, I was disgusted.
So we tracked Klotz down here in Toledo, Ohio, where earlier this year he was arrested for stalking but went to prison on a lesser charge. He's out now and homeless, but still spends plenty of time on the computer. David Klotz, I'd like to talk to you just for a second.
I'm not talking to any of you. Get away from me.
Do you know who this is?
Get away from me.
You say this is you.
Get away. I did not say it was me. Get away from me.
Klotz didn't want to answer our questions, but had no idea just how many answers we already had.
He's claiming to be a federal agent, that he does recon, he does this.
Meet Dan Klotz, who is no stranger to his brother David's bloated resume.
He's never wanted to make an honest dollar for an honest hour's work. He's been like this ever since when we were 16, 17, 18 years old.
What worries him most is someone setting David off.
Do I think he would hurt somebody? Yeah. You back him into a corner? Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind.
He's very smooth. He's very believable.
Earlier this year, when Toledo police moved in on Klotz, Sergeant Tim Noble made the arrest.
He's after financial gain is what he's after. He goes in, he endears himself to the victims, and he talks them into all sorts of scams.
You are a pain in the ass. Get away from me.
What would you say to Linda Dugas?
I don't know Linda Dugas. Get away from me.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Absolutely. He's the biggest liar I've ever met in my whole life. I spent well over $200 on him to help him out.
Linda Dugas says the two met online, in her words, without romantic interest, and she put him up in a hotel, later letting Klotz stay on her couch after he told her a sordid tale of being carjacked.
I've helped people out before, and I'll never do it again now, after what he's done. I find this disgusting.
Dugas claims when Klotz didn't want to move out, she threw him out, and says Klotz got physical. So David Fieri, do you know who that is?
Get away from me. For the last time, I'm warning you. Get away from me.
Even though he wasn't keen to talk when we first met, the next day wearing a t-shirt with the word redemption, he sat down to try to explain. Why did you tell all those lies?
Well, I tell women what they want to hear, like every other guy does that's out there in the dating world.
But Klotz says he only met one woman that way, even though we've talked to many who tell another tale. But there are others, David. There are about 53 different women.
Well, I don't know. I have never met 53 women in my entire life. So, you must think I'm the biggest piece of horse manure.
As for the photos, the false persona, the pumped-up employment past, Klotz says it's all over, and he's wiped the slate clean. So, after all this time that's gone by, you're telling me that you think you're just going to turn things around and it begins today?
Well, yeah, because, what I was doing, it would work for a while, and then all of a sudden it would unravel, and then I'm all alone again, and I don't want to be alone. So I know that I have to be open and honest to have a relationship with anyone.
For Chad Shaw, Klotz's explanations are a feeble attempt at forgiveness. For the bodybuilder, the heaviest weight he says he carries is knowing someone else could be ruining his good name.
The fact that that's legal to do, that leaves a huge loophole wide open for all kinds of predators. In this day and age, there's a lot of internet predators out there, unfortunately, and the rise keeps climbing.
In spite of what he says, we've discovered David Klotz is still at it, talking to women under a new profile since that interview. And yes, It uses Chad's photos. The kicker is there may be nothing to stop him. While Chad and you may feel it's identity theft right now, the law just doesn't allow for it.
As long as you don't use Chad's name and hold yourself out as Chad in an effort to induce people to give you something of value, or use the Facebook page in an effort to defame him or hurt his reputation in some way.
That is an unbelievable story, jaw-dropping. So what can people do at home, or wondering now, to protect themselves if anyone can do that?
Well, that's really the tricky part, and what people may not realize is Facebook and a lot of websites really are the public domain. So you can limit who you share things with, first of all, but if you're someone who's well-known or recognizable like Chad, maybe watermark your images, mark them in some way just so people know that they belong to you, making them a little harder to take. Edwards and some other attorneys I've spoken with do feel the law is eventually going to catch up to this and say this is a crime, you cannot do this, because there's more things like this happening. It's just not there yet.
Unbelievable story. David Douglas tonight. David, thanks a lot.